Always great catching up with my next guest, and he made it happen today. We got some internet issues, and here he is, still making some time, and he's fighting next Saturday in the main event of UFC Fight Night. It's Cory Sandhagen back here on the program. Cory, how are you?
I'm good, James. How are you?
Doing awesome. Really looking forward to the matchup here. Obviously, there's a lot going on in your division right now. One thing I don't think I did ask you when this fight was announced was, are you cool with fighting someone that's lower in the rankings? I guess it's just a matter of keeping active, right?
Yeah, at this point, especially because all of the guys that are higher up in the rankings are already matched up, and when they were trying to put fights together and stuff, everyone was taken. So it was either that or wait. So I didn't really want to wait. So So now we're fighting Song.
We got to address the elephant in the room here. The mustache. Are you starring in a Western? What's that all about?
I did go through like a Western phase, but no, I think it looks pretty masculine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might have it for the fight. I might not. I don't really like it when it gets like too twisty and nicey, but yeah, for now I like it.
Yeah. One of the things that you always seem to do every camp is a bit of cross training. I was looking on social media. It looks like you got that in. Did camp kind of go as you planned in terms of the people you wanted to see and train with?
Yeah, for the most part. I got to train with Ton Lee from One. Me and him worked together, try to get him ready for his fight, which he ended up losing. But yeah, trained with Ton. Ryan's ACL has been hurt, but he still came out and helped me. He was in Louisiana when we were in Louisiana. Pretty standard. Pretty standard. Just training with other guys, also training with a bunch of the guys on the team. I have a lot of really great looks from those guys. So, all good.
Yeah, no, it sounded like it went really well. No Rafion Stotts, though. I know he's almost getting, into scuffles on the MMA Hour last week. I saw that with this fight with Sabatello, but I spoke to him. I know the timing didn't work out, but I'm sure in the future you guys will train together again.
Yep. I'll probably, I just like going other places and training and stuff. So whether he wants me there or not, if he's okay with it, I'll probably pay him a visit sometime in October or November.
And just quickly, you mentioned Ryan Hall. You mentioned the ACL. He still plans on fighting again, right? Like, I know he's getting up there in age, and then when you get an injury like that, it's pretty serious. Do you kind of get the sense we will see him return?
Yep, I think that's definitely his plan.
Cool. Always like getting an update there. Okay, let's talk about Song Yadong. 19-6-1 record. Style-wise, how are you looking at this one?
I think Song's really good. I think he's really athletic and he's dangerous, kind of like everyone else in the division, kind of. He's honestly a pretty standard guy. He doesn't, I don't think, have like too many incredible attributes that you have to like worry about other than, his power, but that's kind of dime a dozen in the division right now. So he's athletic. He's good. He's a little younger. I think he kind of makes younger guy decisions. I think, it's going to be a good fight, but I definitely see me like being the dominant one for most of the rounds.
A lot of his wins have been by knockout, and you've only been finished one time by submission. I don't think you've ever been knocked out in your career. Does that add a little bit more, confidence on your side, just knowing, you're pretty durable, you don't get hit a lot, and that's one of his main weapons?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely don't get hit a lot. I definitely, when I do get hit, can take a shot pretty good. But I definitely still don't think that that's something to rely on. Not
No.
Only because like I don't like getting punched, but because that's not like good fighting to me. Like if I'm letting people land like solid shots on me, definitely not good fighting. So, but yeah, I think that I'm kind of used to this type of guy. Like I've been fighting this type of guy for a long time now, and I think he kind of has to do something more if he thinks that he's going to get a chance at winning.
You talked about the cross training. What about back home at Elevation Fight Team? Who have you mainly worked with as far as bodies in the gym?
As far as bodies in the gym, so Song is a little bit on the taller end, I guess, for the division. He's like 5'8" or something. So he's not. It's not like he's like mega short like a lot of the 25ers. So I haven't been training with a lot of the 25ers, which is sometimes the case when they're a little bit shorter. But no, I've been training a lot with Newfell Al-Khazri. He just got into his professional career, but he's a very good fighter. He's like a mega dangerous striker, and then like also just has like super explosive hips, kind of like how Song does. So a lot of it has been with Newfell. A good amount of it is always with my coach Carrington Banks. and then Justin Wetzel, of course. I train a lot with Wetzel, and yeah, it's mostly been those three that like the recent ones. Yep, that's mostly those three.
Good job. Yeah, I know it's not your job to do roll call, but I always have to ask who you're working with and stuff. I know sometimes it's hard to remember because you're in the gym every day.
Credit, so I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. And then the weight cut. I mean, you always make weight, but how's that going ahead of the fight? I got to ask.
It's going good. The weight kind of, so like I try to make everything as shitty as possible on myself for the whole entire camp. Like I do like 10, 11 weeks. So up until about like 4 weeks away, then I taper down sparring. And then about 2 weeks away, I like really taper down as far as like the workload goes. So I'm really happy that I'm not a zombie anymore and that I can actually have like a little bit of spark and personality to myself, or at least by my standard. And yeah, so when I do get to this point, like the weight kind of just like falls off because it's having to repair so much. So yeah, it's weight cut's always good.
Do you ever get upset or angry? I can't imagine that, honestly. With all our talks and even I met you in person and stuff, you just don't seem like a guy who gets upset or anything.
No, I definitely am like on the grumpier side of people. I would argue sometimes.
Okay, there you go. So there's two sides of you. I just haven't seen that side, so we'll just stick with the nice side here.
Well, yeah. I mean, like my teammates will call me Camp Cory when they know that it's just like because I just kind of have like a blank stare on my face. Because like I said, I'm just tired. I feel like I work like really hard compared to a lot of people, and I know that everyone thinks that they work hard, but I like literally try to do everything that my mind and my body can like handle for the week. So that kind of turns you into a zombie if you do that week over and over and over and over again. And then I kind of get like a little bit short with people just because I'm like just don't care to talk about a bunch of like small talk schmoozy bullshit,
Yeah, it's all business. I get it, man. I'm the same way.
So that's Fight Camp Cory. But yeah, he's kind of a grumpy guy. But like I said, when he gets a little bit of energy back, he's a little bit more like how I am right now.
Okay, good stuff. I like it. Your corner, Carrington Banks. Who else will be in the cage with you?
Christian Allen, of course, and then actually Ryan's going to corner me for this one too.
Oh,
Ryan.
Awesome. Okay, great.
Yeah, me and him have kind of developed a really good relationship in the last couple of years, and yeah, I see him as like your close friend now. So I'm really happy that he said yes and that he's going to be in the corner too.
He's just such a cool guy. Like I know he doesn't do much media anymore. I wish I could interview him because of the times I have spoken to him, he's just a very intelligent, just like cool guy. I don't know, very unique. And I can understand how you two can get along quite well because you're both very like cerebral. I mean that in a positive way.
Yeah, I think that, and I also think that we just like. I think that we're not like sports players. I don't really think like we're actually like we're actually like super interested in the actual art of fighting,
Yeah.
So that's like sometimes far in between, even when you're in like the inner circle of fighters. I don't think everyone kind of has that in common, and yeah, I get to have that in common with Ryan.
It's great. How's this fight playing out next Saturday? What's your prediction?
I think it's gonna go. I'm really excited to show my new skills. Like obviously I spent the last 11 almost full year just developing a bunch of things I needed to get better at in order for me to become champ and stay champ, and that's really where my focus has been in the last year. So I'm really excited to show those new skills. I think that every time I lose, I come back and I'm 10 times better fighter, and I think that that's what we're going to see this time, and it's definitely going to be the best version of myself that I feel like I've ever had in my career, which it probably would be pretty troublesome if it was the other way around. But yeah, like I said, man, it's not going to be super typical, I guess. Like a lot of the things I'm doing now are a lot more subtle, and yeah, I've kind of like had my like really nice time to kind of like craft and chisel away at this art that I enjoy doing, and yeah, like I said, I'm just super pumped that I get to do it in front of a crowd again and in front of people, and just and yeah, I enjoy that part of. I'm also super interested in seeing like how it looks, like I really like going back and watching my fights, and I think I'm really excited to see how like this one's going to look like, that's like exciting for me.
Cool. I love it, man. A lot going on in your division. First and foremost, what do you make of this Sean O'Malley and Petr Yan fight? A big step up here for O'Malley. Even Dana White says he was surprised that O'Malley wanted the matchup. Just first, your thoughts on the matchup.
I think Yan is probably gonna win. You know, like I don't dislike anyone really in the division. Like I get it. Like we're all like playing characters, and we're all like we're all going after the same dream, and so we kind of have to have this like underlying like burning hatred for each other, which like I totally understand. So I don't really dislike O'Malley.
Mhm.
I actually like him. Like I sat next to him at one of the shows, and he was like a cool guy. So, but I do think that like how you take a loss says a lot about you a little bit. And I think that his loss to Chito and how he handled that one, and then the way that the Pedro one went was kind of lame too, especially considering how the first round looked. Like the first round was like you don't really get to talk the way that you're talking if the first round looked the way that it looked, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so honestly, I think O'Malley hopefully has like a really good game plan, but I think that Jan's pressure is a lot, and I know O'Malley does best when he's moving backwards. But um, I think it's only a 15-minute fight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a little bit of an advantage for O'Malley, but still, man, I think Jan's gonna definitely have learned from his past fights where he can't just like give up rounds in the beginning, and I know he's making reads and stuff, so I understand it, but I don't think that he can do that in this one, especially if it's a 3-rounder.
So you're picking Yan, but do you think it's too soon for O'Malley? I mean, I think people were surprised. You know, he had this slow build up. Even with Munoz, he was on a bit of a losing streak when he fought him. Do you think it's too soon, or do you think this is the right timing for him to fight a guy like Yan?
No, I don't think he's been put through any fires yet, man. Like, his only fires that he's been put through is like when Chito hurt his leg,
Yeah.
you know, and then he ended up losing from that one. Like, I can't really think of another time in any of his fights. Not that I've like studied them super close at this point, but like that he's been really like put through a sizable amount of adversity. And I know that like when you're fighting someone like Yan, like there's definitely a high probability that you're going to face some shit in that fight. And yeah, I think it's going to be a lot for him, honestly. You know, like I know that he does well in front of the camera, and he's probably used to all of like the hype and you know, publicity and all of that stuff. But when you're in the cage, you know, like it's your skills that matter, not all of that other stuff. So I think it's going to be a lot for him.
And then I have to ask you about the main event because you fought both fighters, Aljamain Sterling, TJ Dillashaw on that card. Who do you favor in that fight, having fought both of them?
I got Sterling winning that one. I think I've actually given that one like a decent amount of thought, so I'm a little bit more confident than my just like flipping a coin like I usually do. But no, I think Sterling is. I think what Sterling does is like pretty one routed, you know, like take the guy down, take his back, control him, submit him, you know, and like he's done a really good job of showing that that's really hard to stop. I think that in order to stop that, you have to like hit that guy like hard to get him to like stop with his like pressure and his shots and all of that stuff. I don't think TJ has the power to do that, and I also don't think that TJ is the level of grappler that Sterling is. And I think that when Sterling can get a hold of TJ, he's going to be able to take his back and probably do what he wants with him. Like, I think also Sterling's just like the more massive guy. Like, TJ's not super strong or super massive for the weight division, and Sterling kind of is.
If all goes well next Saturday, you're healthy, everything's good to go. Do you want to fight one more time this year? Would that be ideal, or do you just have to reassess after the fight?
It would be kind of ideal. I don't know how likely that is, just because I'm in like a much smaller pool of guys that I'm fighting now. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm definitely not going to fight down again. I don't think. Unless it's like someone that's like really close. No, I just want to get back in the winner's circle. I doubt that like, you know, one of those guys is going to want to fight again by the end of the year, like a Yan, O'Malley, TJ, or Sterling. I don't, you know, I doubt that they'll want to fight by the end of the year. There's also Merab and Chito. I don't know what they're probably waiting to see what happens in me and Song's fight to see where, you know, if they're going to pair us up. So I do think potentially I could fight by the end of the year again, but if I do it, it's likely going to be against Chito or Merab, which, yeah, I'd be game for actually. Now that I guess we're kind of talking it through, I don't think about it too much before the fights, but yeah, a fight against one of those guys by the end of the year would be cool.
And you signed a new contract when you fought Yan, right? I believe, or what is your contract status? I was trying to remember.
My last two ones have been single fight contracts.
Oh, okay.
I think. And then yeah, so I'm like starting on my first fight of my new 6 fight contract, but I got that one I think after winning against Frankie, which feels like it was a long time ago now.
Yeah,
So
it was a couple fights ago. Okay.
yeah, because TJ's was a 1 fight deal. I think maybe Jan's wasn't, but it's different because it's for a belt or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm on that fight now.
Oh, good. So either way, you're locked up for a bit, right? It's not like you're fighting for your job or something. I mean, obviously you always need to win, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I don't really look at the UFC like that. I kind of feel like they can do whatever they want whenever they want. So, I definitely feel like no, I never feel secure in my career.
Okay.
Honestly,
No worries. No, I like the honesty. Yeah.
I don't ever feel not because I think that they can cut me whenever they want, but because guys get hurt all the time, da da da. So I don't ever really like play around with the idea that like I'm safer than I actually am. It took a few years to get like okay with that, but no, I don't ever. This is like a very stressful, not great career if you want like like the feeling of safety financially.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Well, hey, you're in a main event, so that's got to be a good sign here. And again, I don't know how much you think of this stuff, but having lost to Sterling, Dillashaw, Yan, does that put you in a bit of a tricky position? I know, I guess there's Merab and Chito out there as well, but does that put you in a tough spot as far as fighting for another title?
I think it will probably. Like, I definitely don't think I'll win this one and then fight for a title if that's what you mean. But
No,
I
yeah.
think, man, right now I'm just focused on getting back in the winner circle,
Mhm.
looking really impressive, reminding people why I'm one of the best in the world because, I knocked out Moraes, I knocked out Frankie really bad, I beat up TJ pretty good, and like he won because he controlled me, which is just like laughable.
Mhm.
But that's the way that the sport is played, so I'm not going to bitch too much about it. And then I fought Yan on 5 weeks' notice and was winning the fight all the way up until I got rocked, and then had a fight rocked the rest of the fight. So, not to be like a giant excuse maker, but I do know that those are like really fine details that if one thing would have gone a little bit differently, then I am, in a very different situation than what I'm in now. So, uh, no, I think that there's definitely like I just kind of want to remind people that who I am, and the
Yeah.
type of fighter I am because I know people forget really quick. But yeah, so hopefully I'll just go out and beat Song's ass really bad, and then I can start calling the shots a little bit more than what I felt like I've been able to in the choosing of this opponent.
What were your thoughts on Chito Vera finishing Dominick Cruz a couple weeks ago?
Uh, Cruz made a mistake. Like 25 minutes, you put two professional guys in a cage, tell them to fight for 25 minutes, which is a pretty long time, and then and like Cheeto definitely must hit, kick and punch pretty hard because he's definitely like dropped a lot of guys with those. But Cruz I think was winning the fight until that happened with Cheeto. So even those types of things, it's like Cheeto's doing great as far as like getting W's, but he's not like dominating these guys that like if he wants to be champ, he needs to be dominating. Because Font, if you want to be a champ, like you got to beat Font decisively, and he was losing a lot of that fight. If you want to be a champ, you got to beat Cruz a little bit more decisively, and he was losing a lot of that fight too. So, yeah, that was an interesting fight, but Cheeto hasn't like shown that he's just like a super amazing fighter. Like he's definitely good at winning and hitting people hard, but I think that that's like juice that you run out of eventually.
What did you make of, on that same token, Merab Dvalishvili's win over Jose Aldo?
Uh, I just wish that I'm okay with how he won because Aldo should have done a little bit more.
Mhm.
Like I'm okay with the decision or whatever, but I do think that like the scoring's got to change or else fights are just going to keep being like that. I've suggested shot clock before. Like, I think that there should be some type of something where if you don't get to a position that's more dominant, then you get broken. Like
Mhm.
you break. If you get a takedown and you have the guy down, I say don't separate people. But if it's on the cage, man, like that's such an easy route to success that it's just like not it's not fighting anymore to me. It's just like this like weird hybrid of wrestling, but we're only adopting some of the wrestling rules and not like all of them together. Because in the Olympics, if you get caught for stalling, like you have a minute to score, or else the other person gets a point. Like why are we only adopting half the rules of wrestling and saying that those are winning, but then like not adopting the other ones? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And if you can get a body lock on someone when they're standing, like you could stall there for a really long time.
Yeah.
And if I'm in a cage and it comes down to me winning twice as much money and me progressing my career the way that it does, like I'm not going to be super motivated to let go. And so I think if they want to make fighting, they have to kind of change the rules of fighting. And I don't mean really as much of like how it's judged. I mean by like implement things like a shot clock, implement things like yellow cards and stalling and stuff like that. Like those to me are things that have to happen if you want fighting to be fighting, and not this like weird hybrid version of wrestling fighting that is just like super boring to watch and really not applicable to like super great combat skills.
Should Aldo retire after that loss, or do you think he's got more left in him?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think he's gonna like fight for a belt again, honestly.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it was a setback.
I don't think that. I don't think the UFC really wants him to either. Like he's kind of getting up there. So yeah, I don't know. It's up to. I mean, if he still loves fighting, he should keep fighting. But if his goal is to be champ and that's all that he wants, then maybe call it quits would be my opinion.
And on that note, Frankie Edgar says his next fight will be his last. Just your thoughts on him hanging him out.
Yeah, that's great. Cool. I'm glad that he's deciding to do that, not just retiring. I really commend him on doing that. It's that's always like a really cool thing to me when guys announce their retirement before their last retirement fight. I think that it adds like an interesting mix, and yeah, I commend him on wanting to finish on top.
What's the last hike you did? I know we talked, I think, in the last interview about the hike that didn't end up happening. Does that taper off too? I imagine during fight time in case you slip or something.
I don't do anything when I'm in fight camp.
Okay.
James. Yeah, I don't do anything. I go to the park maybe once a week, like once every 2 weeks tops, to play spikeball, and that is pretty much all that I do. And then I just sleep and rest and take the dogs out on bike rides, and that's pretty much it.
Who else plays spikeball with you?
A lot of the guys on the team.
Who's the best player?
I'm the best player.
Okay. Might have to get a poll there. I should ask Magny and those guys, see what the real.
They will all agree. Curtis is. I always choose the worst partner, and then I go against the two best guys, and typically we still end up winning. So I kind of have a big head about it, obviously, because I just have only gone with the competition that I've gone with. But amongst this pool of people, I'm definitely the best on the team at spikeball, definitively.
Cory, thanks for doing this. As usual, we went over time. I really appreciate it, man. If there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors or any social media you want to plug, I'll give you the last word.
No, all good. Thanks a lot, James. Thanks for having me on, man. I'll talk to you next time.